hold on, wait. Oh, I'm going to go here first. And then I'm going to be like, and then I'm going to do this. Hey, y'all. Welcome to Trek Talk. We are live on twitch.tv/ calling up justice. And we are live on YouTube at Claudia Alick. No, that's on the TikTok, the at Claudia Alick Love, which we are also live on. But we are live on what's the address? Oh my gosh, for YouTube. It's YouTube/ Claudia Alick calling up justice. And now I'm just gonna go to us, and here we are. It's Claudia, it's Maiamama, it's Lutisha Andre Doucette. We are here, and we're gonna talk about because it is today's the first day post holiday. I wanted to talk about holidays, Star Trek holidays, because none of the Star Trek holidays take place now anyway. So, or even around now, mostly. Um, Although to be honest, I can't exactly say when any of these are because they mostly give me star dates, and I'm not good at translating star dates. Anyway, Claudia, come off the mute and say hi, cause you're muted. Say hi to everybody.
Totally muted. It's because I'm busy multitasking.
Whoop
Whoop,
whoop.
whoop, 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 scoop, scoop, scoop. Hi, everybody in TikTok land. Hello, and hi, everybody in Twitch land. It is awesome to be back after 3 whole weeks to talk about Star Trek with y'all. It brings me so much pleasure. Yeah.
And how are you doing today, Letitia?
I am actually peachy. I've missed y'all.
I
And
love.
I love Trek Talk. And I love the word peachy. Even though I don't like peaches. I like nectarines better.
Really?
Yes.
I also like nectarines better than peaches. That yeah, they're like if peaches were just a little bit better.
Yeah, it's like the cooler sibling of the fruits.
I agree. I agree. Like probably the younger sibling though, to be honest, in like an annoying way. You know how sometimes the
Yeah.
younger sibling is actually kind of cooler um because they didn't Claudia, I'm sorry. I'm a middle one, and I know that Claudia, you are on the older end of the spectrum of
But
siblings, but
actually, we have a blended family. So I'm a
mhm,
middle child just like you. I'm not the oldest, I'm a middle child.
you were raised,
Right.
you're culturally the oldest.
I'm culturally the oldest. This is true. This is true. Like, is Spock a middle child, a youngest child? It's hard to tell with a blended
He's
family.
culturally, he is the youngest. Culturally, he is the baby. I think he was raised as the baby. I think that
I think he
Spock.
was raised as a baby as well. Like, I am the classic only older daughter. That's me. The one who's
Mhm.
got to project manage the family, keep everybody in line.
Yeah.
Boundary queen.
Okay, y'all. So we are here. I've brought you forth to the Trek talking to talk about Star Trek holidays. Now, I was going to make this into like a Trek rank, but then I decided that there are so many holidays that I just did not have time to get all of the picturey stuff to display that to make a really good rank. So we're just going to talk about holidays. Earlier, Claudia had told me that she couldn't find really anything on many holidays. So I have a list. Some are by planet, and some are just like a big collection. We're going to start on what I find to be one of the most festive of holiday planets, Bejor. Because Bejor has a lot of holidays, but we're only going to talk about three specific holidays. They have a lot of religious holidays.
Right. They have
They're
a lot of religious ceremonies. Yeah.
hmm it's just it's a thing. It's part of their being, and I love it. I love it. Now the first one we have is the Bajoran time of cleansing. Now the Bajoran time of cleansing is a custom. Um, during which people fast for a month and abstain from worldly pleasures. So we saw this. Actually, it's funny because we saw this episode. It was in the DS9 episode Bar Association. Quark was really upset because it was the Bajoran time of cleansing and nobody was going to his bar. And then he was also like not paying the employees and then union. So it's just, I think it's a typical holiday that exists amongst many cultures of just taking a break and fasting to learn more about yourself. Now, the next one that I wanted to talk about though, and this was the Gratitude Festival. Do you guys remember, Claudia? Do you remember what you're supposed to yell during the Peldor Festival, which is the Gratitude Festival? Anybody?
Jaya!
No.
No, something else. All right, I was guessing. I pulled a Star Trek statement out of my butt. What do you say?
Peldor Joy. Peldor Joy. They just yell it. I just remember Kira just like yelling it out at people. Peldor Joy. And I guess it's I don't actually know what it's for. You know how they do that on Star Trek where they're like, it's a holiday about some vague thing, but then they don't really tell you about like how it started. For the Peldor Festival, they burn leaves and scrolls. The scrolls have their troubles on them.
Yes,
And they burn them into ashes, and then that like that's like a yearly tradition.
I am looking at their Peldor Gratitude Festival banner, and it is popping. It's got hands out like this. Huh? Those are gratitude hands. I know those are gratitude hands. The hands are like this. They're just like gratitude hands. They're not doing a heart. That's heart hands. You're doing gratitude hands. They're just
I'm
like,
gonna be quadriplegic and try.
and then
That's pretty good. I think that's it.
There's a big like eye, right? Just like a mysterious eye, and then glitter tinsel, like you would find at your like dollar store, Party City. And I like that the Bajoran folks also have a Party City. I like this a lot.
You don't think that they just use a replicator?
Are there any special foods? I know that there's like jugglers and dancers, and there's all kinds of stuff. And like Kieran the Reese was apparently a presider of the festival.
They just, yeah, from what I remember, she was just like, Peldor Joy, everyone! Come on in! Right? And then they all walk past her, and they all drink and talk and burn their scrolls. And I really am wondering, like, I know that the Bajorans have a lot of parties, but, like, what is fun about their parties? Because Bajorans seem to be, like they seem to spend a lot of time, like, sitting and meditating and being one with the prophets.
Yeah.
So,
No, but Kai Wynn would be fun at a party, I think. You get her a little tipsy.
Kai Wynn?
Yeah.
Ooh, and a disaster, too.
Right. Like, I want to be at, like, some sort of rager with her and Goldacott. And then, like, you just...
She's gonna be like, yeah! Talk to me!
This looks like it would be a lot of fun. This looks like it would be a fun holiday. I'm also now realizing I was not thinking of Star Trek holidays. Like literally, Star Trek celebrates itself coming into being. Starfleet's like, it's Fleet Day. We exist. All right, I'm excited about this.
Now,
holiday, please.
Hamara. Hamara is a really important holiday because it is the anniversary of the arrival of the emissary of the prophets. It's the Cisco
right
of
up
holidays.
That is Kai Wynn's holiday right there.
She's like, ooh, I love this holiday.
I love this.
She she's the person that actually like makes sure that her office space temple area is like really highly decorated with how much she loves the emissary, and like pictures of her and Cisco, even though all of the pictures are him kind of like not looking at her very nicely, she's gonna be like, look guys, I love this guy. And then Gul
It's kind of
Dukat's like,
like,
no you don't.
remember when Obama didn't shake the white people's hands, and but he did do like daps and things. Like Kai
Yep.
Wen would be like, "I got dismissed by the emissary."
What I think is interesting is that this is a holiday where they fast, who show gratitude. And I'm fascinated by when you like to celebrate the holiday, you don't eat nothing. You're fasting. You're being an aesthetic. You're just like, nothing for me. And then when for the holiday, do you get crunk? Do you like fill your body with soup? I'm just fascinated
The
by
thing
this.
is that there aren't, I haven't seen any holidays that that Bajorans do that isn't fasting and meditation. I think that there is a joke about that on DS9 about like their,
The gratitude festival, they were eating and drinking.
oh were they? Oh yeah, it was kind of like, it was a nice little, and then they burned their little scrolls, and but it still didn't seem like it was bumping. And also Benjamin Sisko does not celebrate Hamara at all.
As a black man, I think his role is awkward, right?
Yes.
Like I don't want to
Talk
be.
about a magical Negro.
Yeah, and but he literally is a magical Negro.
Like he
And
is.
that is like, I just want to be a dad. I got a son. I'm trying to, make some gumbo, play baseball. He just wants to be a regular dude, and yet they're like, oh, I feel that a lot. I get the awkwardness that he has from that.
Yeah, because like he went to DS9 because he couldn't do any kind of voyage type of missions with his son. He didn't want to put his son in danger. So he was like, I'm going to take this bureaucratic, boring job on this mostly unimportant space station to like help the Bajorans work their way post occupation. Yeah.
Fill out their paperwork and like get their like to become this on his first day. On his first day.
First day.
First day.
That is unfortunate, man.
I mean, it
First
seems
day.
typical, right? Though seems so typical. Like, and that first day was not a good day. It's not like wow, and the day was looking so great. It was a really bad day to start with because because he's like because Jake's all upset about having to go.
He just had to talk to Picard
And then he had to go talk to Picard.
Oh,
And then he found out that Curzon died.
oh yeah.
He didn't know that Curzon was dead because Curzon is Jadzia. So he had to like get through that. This is a different person. This is what it's like to be friends with the Trill. I have to deal with that later. And then they're like, oh, there's some. Oh, here's some. Also, here's the Cardassians. Be in Cardassian. And now you have to go and also your Space Jesus. Space Jesus 2.0. Because technically Spock is Space Jesus.
What? Okay, we will have
He
this
died!
conversation another day.
He died and was reborn!
But
for
there's a
us.
lot of characters that have died and been reborn. There's an entire lower decks joke about how they keep coming back to life. So I'm actually down to have that conversation with you. It just means we'll have
With
to
the
bring
space
up a lot of
koala?
canon. That's right, baby. We're gonna have to bring up a lot of canon, and it's gonna be mostly about different characters having met the space koala and then come back to life. What is the next?
So we're
holiday?
gonna move. We're
I
moving
get
to
up
a new
research.
planet. We're moving
Thank
to Kronos. Or Quonos.
Picard died technically, and I'm like, well, several times actually. Wait,
Yeah.
Kronos?
Yeah, we're moving. Now we're moving to a different planet, Kronos. It is the Klingon homeworld, and the first. They also have a lot of religious holidays too. Because both Bajor and Kronos are actually very deeply religious planets. People don't. the thing about Klingons is that Klingons killed their gods and became their own gods. Like that's what Kalis did. Kalis killed the
Right.
gods. That's Vulcans or sorry, Klingons. Klingons believe in gods.
And they're like, we're more powerful than
We
them.
will not be ruled
Like,
over you. Like yeah, they're just they they won't be enslaved by anyone because they're fighters. So, but the first holiday is the Day of Honor. On this day, a warrior is evaluated. They evaluate their deeds over the past year to see whether they're honorable, and then they eat rollkeg blood pie, which looks gross. It looks gross. We
mothers.
saw that on an episode Day of Honor on Star Trek Voyager in the year 2374, back in the 70s, because B'Elanna didn't think that she was honorable, even though she
A
was.
lot.
She
Yes.
just had a lot of she
She
had a
had
lot
a
of
lot
self
of
hate.
mixed race problems.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, wow, you just. I wish there was an actual therapist for some of these folks on this show.
Seriously.
Yes.
Seriously. Here's my thing. Belana's traumas felt way more earned than Worf's. Like, Worf was so weird about his stuff. And I was like, I understand that on a genetic level, there are pieces of Belana that are like warring each other.
Yeah.
Worf just had daddy issues.
Well, he also had his own. He had daddy issues, but he had his own like self put on model minority issues
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
to himself, no one asked this of him. Everyone around him asked him to just chill and be himself. But he was like, I have to be the best Klingon because if I'm not the best Klingon, then everyone will hate Klingons. It's all up to me. When everyone thinks of Klingons, I want them to see me and
I need
think,
to
you know
stop.
what? Klingons aren't bad people. They aren't awful. And that was really it took him a long time to stop
Yeah.
hating himself. I mean, Jadzia had to teach him about his own culture so that he would stop hating it.
I need
Because
to stop giving Worf such a hard time. I'm realizing it's not like the Starfleet had been at peace with the Klingons and they actually had healthy relationships. He was probably getting bullied a lot as a young person.
at the very least, a lot of the kids in his like that would have been he would have been in school with would have had grandparents, if not parents, who actively fought in well, probably grandparents that fought in the Klingon uh, Federation Klingon War. People live a long time, and it was only 100 years before that. It had only been 100 years since that big conflict. Um, and people were only just starting to cool off from the Romulan. There was a Romulan Klingon conflict on that, and it was just
Yeah.
people didn't want to mess with Klingons, and Klingons were really xenophobic and generally stayed away from Federation planets. And so the only thing that he knew, it would be like, and I know this happened, it'd be like a young kid of color living in a tiny town in the 80s and being the only kid of color and not actually knowing what it meant to be who you were. And so you sort of had to glean it off of television or what people told you that it was, and then that's what you are. And that's a lot of what Worf did, I think. Is Worf
Yeah.
was until Picard. Worf was very much like, I am really trying hard to be like the best Klingon, but I don't actually know what Klingons are.
I will
Right.
say that, like, when it comes, oh, go ahead, please.
I think it's also that thing where when you also don't have other Klingons around you, right? Because it's not like anyone was helping him understand his own culture. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a whole kind of I'm trying to assimilate, but I can't because everything about me is always going to be the antithesis of what I'm trying to assimilate into. And that is
Yes.
a very hard thing to even try to navigate. And you see him repeating those same things with his son, who mysteriously also disappears. Um, so it's just kind of he keeps repeating these patterns. And then it's like, then you get the woke white lady who has to teach you about your own culture. And I'm sure that's
Yeah.
also like a head, you know, trip for him as well. But he's got to get over it because everyone loves him.
And he was
So,
upset about he had a little bit of a when it turned out that Jadzia knew more about Klingons than he did because she had spent decades
yeah.
of life with
Yeah.
Klingons as a Klingon ambassador and being friends with Klingon heroes because in his mind Klingons are very like
Stoic.
stoic and I which was always kind of funny because no Klingons well, Klingons are generally not stoic in any way, shape, or form. And I was like, no, that was you trying to like hold back any emotion because you weren't allowed to express yourself honestly, buddy.
Are there going to be more Klingon holidays? Because can I just say, I'm not into the eating of a heart of a sanctified targ. I feel like having like ritual pain sticks. I get that Boimler thought that was super fun. That's
It's
not a part
totally
of the
Klingon though. It is totally
very
Klingon.
Klingon. But
They're
are there
very
more Klingon
BDSM in their
holidays?
world.
Well, there's one more Klingon holiday. It's the Kotbaval festival.
Okay,
It
what's
is a
that?
Klingon festival that honored the defeat of the tyrant Molar by Kahless the Unforgettable in single combat. Celebrations of this festival were held throughout the Klingon Empire, and there's a ritual reenactment. Um, and in 2370, Worf took Alexander to a local one so that he could show them. Oh God! And it's so weird now as an adult, like years later, to see this in a like some sort of cultural viewpoint because like he Worf takes Alexander to go to a Klingon outpost to celebrate this festival and like acts like he knows everything and takes his son there and he's like, be a Klingon. And like his son has troubles, he has troubles, and it's because Worf refuses to admit that he doesn't actually know a lot about his own culture, um, which means that he can never actually learn anything about his culture. And it
Uh,
means that his son can never really learn anything about his culture because his father can't teach him anything. And his father just teaches him the same weird version of Klingons. And that's why
no wonder he
poor
turned to
Alexander is
time
all messed up
travel.
too.
No wonder he turned to
Well,
time travel. That's messed up.
Yeah, his dad's not a good dad. Worf, like I get it because Worf um, had difficulties, but he was not a very good father. And I know that in the comic books, things change, improve kind of, but as far as like anything canonical, like Alexander who, and that's real sad because we don't know anything about him.
no,
Uh,
we see him as a cute little boy, right? And and then he changes. It's not the same person. And then you're like, wait, what's happening with this? But like, why are you? But then don't we always see that where the parent is confused about their own identity and can't communicate, and they pass that confusion on to the children?
so
Yeah.
I'm gonna spoil
Is that you,
something.
mom?
I'm gonna spoil something for y'all, and this is a comic book spoiler. And so
Everyone in the audience,
comic
watch
book
out.
spoiler.
Maiamama is about to tell you what happens in a Star Trek comic book.
This is in
Comic.
the IDW Star Trek continuation, and in this, uh, Worf is such a bad dad that Alexander ends up joining a Kahless blood cult, and things get dicey.
Mm.
And the only thing that will fix it is Q Junior, and that's in Star Trek Sons. Get that at your library, your local library. Star Trek Sons. It's about the sons, masculine progeny of some Star Trek dudes.
So true. There's
Star.
Jake, Go, and young Q2.
That's his name. Is Q2. That's funny.
Oh,
No, no, it's
wow.
not. It's not Q2. It's Q Junior, and they call it. He likes to be called QJ, and I don't get it, and I still need to actually finish it. But let's move on to Vulcan. Vulcan again. Vulcan, another very spiritual planet. A planet that when we started in, and I'm going chronologically from First Contact through Enterprise. Vulcans had pushed away certain parts of their spirituality. It wasn't until towards the end of Star Trek Enterprise that they started to embrace the teachings of Sarek. So, I so like they have, but they also have a lot of rituals. They do a lot of rituals on Vulcan. So the first one we're going to talk about is Calrec. It is Calrec is a holiday, and that's all I'm telling. It's a day of atonement, solitude, and silence.
Oh, the Bajorans would love that.
They don't. You just sit alone and think about what you did. And that they talked about it on the episode Meld on Voyager, where Tuvok does the mind meld with the suitor. Is that the one where he does the one?
Yeah.
Wow, I remembered his name.
This is weird. I like that actor.
Brad Dwarf. Yeah.
Like he's like a weird like 90s character actor. Like I like
Chucky.
him.
He's Chucky.
Here's the thing. He was fine as Chucky. I like him for that one episode where he played a horrible serial killer in like 4 different TV shows. All right, you're thinking of the X-Files.
No, I was thinking of 2. He did 2 episodes.
You're saying 2 episodes
psycho.
of Voyager. Yes.
Yeah.
But like he has played a murderous killer.
He's good
like,
at it. I bet he's really sweet.
Heart. Anyway, what's up with this holiday?
Nothing. They just sit around. They don't do. No. Here's another one though, and this is an ancient one. It's called Rumari. It's an ancient pagan festival that was last observed in the 14th century Vulcan, but Neelix discovered it as a festival full of barely clothed Vulcan men and women covered in slippery Rillian grease, chasing one another.
Oh.
He thought it might be back to bring it. Neelix thought it would be cool to bring it back, and
I'm sorry, I was just seeing Tim Russ bringing it back. Woo!
I mean, he could, but yeah, complete with greasy foods that are high in fat and people chasing each other naked. It's actually the same episode, Voyager, because it must have been talking about holidays, and so I'm assuming that Neelix is like, yes, we should do this other holiday because it's a lot more fun. And honestly, I would rather do Rumary than Calrec.
Well, yeah.
Sit alone and think about what you did, or run around, eat bad food, and chase after each other.
Come on.
Gonna get you.
I love it.
I'm gonna get you.
I don't know. I'm a potato, so I will choose sitting alone. And somebody sneaking food to me.
Well, there's nothing about fasting actually in that.
Covered in slippery Rillian grease, and then you eat greasy foods.
But if I'm doing Cal Rec, atonement, solitude, silence, can I eat during that? Because if I can eat during that, that sounds more appealing.
So just get all greasy, eat greasy foods while you're atoning.
No,
You're pretty
I'm
crazy.
gonna. I would rather. Well, see, because I don't want to be all greasy. I would rather just. I don't know.
I'm not sure why
Be
I think it's
clean
necessary to
and
get
just
greasy.
eat food. Can I
I'm
just be
excited
clean and
about this
eat food by
holiday.
myself?
Real greasy.
Yeah, I just want to eat the food. Like if there's tasty food, I'm here for it. Like you want me to sit by myself, think about things? I do that all the time. My name
Ooh,
is Tyrion Lannister, you know?
you
I
drink
drink and I
and
know
know things.
things. So if you want me to think about more things,
I'm often an overthinker on things. Now here is the last one. Vulcan holiday I wanted to talk about is called Tal Shinar, and unfortunately, it is a Vulcan spiritual practice that outsiders are rarely allowed to see. So we don't know anything about it except that Dr. Phlox got to see one, got to observe the Tal Shinar when he was held at the Vulcan consulate.
so they're like,
Um,
we're holding you, but first we have to do our thing. The rituals don't stop just because we got you on board, my guy.
I'm guessing so. So he got to see it. Um,
So it seems like Vulcans have a lot of rituals.
they have
They
a
have a
lot of
lot.
rituals. Hmm.
We're gonna be it's the time of the it's because it feels like they're always doing special meditations. Well, this time of year I got to do this kind of special meditation. This person's coming over, I got to do these kinds of special meditations, and we got to eat these special foods.
Well, yeah, but I think it's because Vulcans are chaos. They are
Yes,
pure chaos, and they
every
need that.
7 years
Yeah, they need
they
that
have
ritual.
a gigantic holiday.
I mean, yeah, nice little personal holiday, but just every day they have to live their life in strict ritual to contain the chaos that exists within the Vulcan mind, because Vulcans are highly erratic and emotional beings. They're
So all
way
Vulcans have
more,
ADHD.
like way more than any, more than Klingons, more than humans. Because they like to talk about how humans are really emotional, like and Klingons are like, just the difference is that like humans and Klingons just don't be quiet, but Klingons or Vulcans are sassy, rude. Like there's a lot of emotions that like they say they suppress all their emotions, but there's an awful lot of emotion in their
That
derision.
Tupac, he's always going like,
Like that's not an emotion. I feel that in my heart every day.
I'm fascinated that you are not. I like that you are differentiating between holiday and ritual, because I thought you were going to break out the Kuna Caliphate and just be like, well, you know how they do with their like wild marriages, and then like if you don't want to get married, then like to Pring, she could be like Caliphate fight, and then there's like a ritual fight, and then like Spock has to like think he actually murdered Kirk. It was so dramatic. Spoiler alert for a TV show that happened in the 60s.
He had to emotionally go through that for the chemicals in his. It's the ritual. It's
Yeah.
the ritual. It's almost like a cultural compulsion
Yes.
of a
Literally.
sort.
Literally, it was a hormonal compulsion to go to that planet. He couldn't stop himself.
Well, yeah, and in on Voyager, when that one guy, they had that one guy who was a
Oh,
Vulcan,
yes!
and he decided that was
Was into Balana
he was
hardcore. And
no, no,
that,
no, no, no. He was vaguely attracted to her. Out of
uh-huh.
everyone on the ship, he was vaguely attracted to her, and for a Vulcan, that's a lot. Because,
Yeah.
like, if a
Yeah.
Vulcan has a crush on you, a Vulcan is in love with you. Vulcans don't half ass. So that guy had he was vaguely attracted to her, which to us seemed when he went on through his pound far like a really intense crush. And then she beat the hell out of him because she was like, I am my own champion, which I was like, yes, you are.
And then he was like, hot.
Yeah, he did not mind that. He did not mind that. He was like, oh, yeah, I'll fight you. Like, that could be some fun. And then after the fight, he felt way better, was like, really sorry, super sorry about that. I hope that you're not going to hate me. And she's like, no, we won't see you barely ever for years. You'll occasionally pop up. But you're not main character, buddy. You're not main character.
Did you know that episode was directed by Andrew Robinson?
Of the episode of Voyager?
I think so. I'm looking this up. Yeah, totally. Oh my God, yes.
I like it.
Blood Fever episode was directed by one of our favorite characters who finally got their moment on Lower Decks.
I'm so glad.
Looking forward to talking about that in the future. But let's keep talking about Star Trek
Well,
holidays.
now we're moving to other holidays. Holidays that aren't because we don't have a bunch of worlds now. So there's this one, it's called Batriel. It's a Halian holiday. It is from and so there was this character. Her name is Aquiel. Aquiel was on an episode called Aquiel on Star Trek: The Next Generation. She wanted to sing.
To be a manic pixie dream girl, love interest for Geordie LaForge.
Look, she was everything Geordie needed. Black, unavailable, probably not alive. Right? Like, imagine part of his imagination.
Yeah.
An imaginary woman, black, has a dog, is a dog. Who knows? Isn't that?
Wouldn't it be funny if he had gotten together with her? If like that's who he had, because we never find out who he had them kids with. On
It was
the
her.
car.
It was her.
We never find out. It was Aquiel.
It was Aquiel. You know what? Good for him. Good for him. He needed to get his finally.
So unhealthy. She was so unhealthy. So she had a holiday that she talked to him about where she was just like,
oh, and here's the thing. I want to be clear. She did not tell him anything. Aquiel had passed away before this episode started. This is an imaginary person that stole Aquiel's memories, isn't it?
oh no, this isn't what happened. This is what had happened.
Then tell me what happened.
He fell in love with her from all of her videos and tapes. It's still creepy.
It's still imaginary.
Healthy. It was still a parasocial relationship where he was studying her.
That's what he likes.
But then they find her, and then he's really into her. And like he's really into her. And everyone's like, you just met her. Like maybe you should slow down. Also,
he's like, I read her journal, guys. I read her journal.
I love her dog. I took care of her dog, and we're going to be married forever. And then, guess what happens?
She had already passed. And that was,
the dog. It was the dog. Again, I apologize.
But she had already passed away. He fell in love from reading her journals, which apparently happens a lot in the future. People like will just read someone's journals or you know, star logs, and they'll just be like, wow, I'm in love. I don't know what's going on in the future.
That would freak me out because my journals would be like, cat hair in my eye. The cats have been dead for months. What is my life? You know, like,
yeah,
having someone be like, I really like that person,
and then I'd be like, you fell in love with my my ramblings of sadness and madness. Yikes. I mean, like I would love a partner that like accepts that part of me as part of my
Oh my
whole, but if
God.
that's the part of me that they fall in love with, that they initially meet, ugh.
Can you
I
imagine? It's like
also
reading
feel
your
like
Facebook from 20.
worse. It's like I do early words every morning where I journal on early words.
Uh-huh.
What if early words didn't encrypt your stuff and in fact made it available to anybody who wanted to find out about you? So when you passed away, we were just like, oh yeah, no, here's random ramblings that they did every single day of their life.
I love her.
I'm just realizing that the act of inviting people to do logs, because oftentimes they're doing those logs like they're just a personal diary, but
Yeah.
none of that is private.
Some of
Everybody's
it
gonna
is.
hear it.
I
Well,
could
no,
not.
because they did an
Imagine I
episode.
was like, the spider was dingle dangling in the bathroom. Why is it here when the plants are outside? They're right there in the lift. Why are you in my face?
So, so they have some
But then
pretty.
someone on the internet's like, I love her. And I'm like, ah.
They have some very strict privacy rules and regulations in by being a Starfleet officer, and we know that from Strange New Worlds because we know um, that your personal logs, that if somebody wants to look at your personal logs, that they have to like go through a lot of hoops, and no one can just go in there and read your stuff, even if they're in the highest branch of the Federation. No one can do that. So at least they kind of have that, but like really what makes me concerned is like, yeah, if somebody found my diary from, I don't know, like maybe 15 years ago.
Oh, no. Just, I can't even read it.
I like, I'm going to say like 15 years ago, I was going through it, and I was not a person like, I don't want to meet someone who reads that me and is like,
She's amazing.
I want someone to read that and be like, boy, I hope she figured that out. That's how Jordy should have been like, huh, she seems nice. I hope she got her stuff together. I hope she got to celebrate the holiday with her family and got to sing a song. But in fact, she didn't because she had been absorbed by some creature. And
She was not. I'm telling you right now.
no,
You are
she had been there, and then there was like a shapeshifter.
yes. Yeah. It touched her and it absorbed part of her memory, which is why she was confused and didn't know what happened.
Oh, God, that's even worse.
Yeah, it was, and also keep in
God.
that
Oh, Jordy.
based on a weird like 1930s or 1950s story. Like it's like one of those stories from like the 1930s or 40s or something that has weird, sexual dynamics and
Yeah.
stuff. And they were like, let's make this into a Star Trek episode. And those Star Trek episodes are always the weirdest, where you were like, you wanted to make a different story, but you wanted to make it Star Trek. Okay.
Like, I
It's like
see
a
what you're.
Reddit episode. That's what they used to remind me of. Like, am I the asshole? Because I read through her journals. And, and now she doesn't really know or recognize who I am, but I'm totally in love with her. And, we could be together. I am the one for her.
I know
And
it
she
because
just
I read all of her
recognized.
inner thoughts. Or, hey Reddit, am I the asshole? So, I, whatever, 30s male,
Right.
am the chief engineer on the flagship of the Federation. I needed to fix my ship, and the only way to do that was have a holographic version of the person who made that ship. I fell in love with that hologram, but then the real person showed up, and she was not happy. Am I the asshole?
Am I the
So
asshole? 'Cause
this
I
is
really approached her and told her how much I liked her and I liked what she said back at Stardate 5443201 dash point zero two.
Such a
Um,
such a
no, I
creep.
was just saying the the episode Aquiel, I love that we've like stayed on the episode Aquiel so much. They barely talk about the holiday, but it was based on the 1944 film Laura. So basically, a Star Trek writer wanted
Right,
to
I
make
remember.
Laura into a Star Trek episode, but they couldn't really figure out how to do it right. And also, it was a creepy, weird story from the 40s. And that's why that episode doesn't really work. I'm like, poor Jordy, though. Like, just poor Jordy. What
Okay,
other holidays are
the next holiday is Captain Picard Day,
Oh, you're so silly.
where all the kids get to make some pictures about the captain of the ship. Ugh. Actually, I would love Captain Picard Day if I was a young person on the Enterprise, and I would tell you one thing, I would not be using paper and crayons. This is the future. I would have created a holo program for him. I would have been Captain Picard. I heard that you like Dixon Hill, and so I wrote my own Dixon Hill mystery for you. And then he would get trapped in the holodeck, but he would get out and he would come up to me and pat me on the shoulder and be like, "What an interesting story," and walk away, and I would and that would be great. That's that would be my Captain Picard Day. That
So do they have a Captain Blank Day? Like, do they have a Captain Freeman Day? Do they
yes.
celebrate Captain Freeman once a year?
I think like I here's the thing. I think the Captain Picard Day was uh some asshole thing that Riker did because Riker knows
He's uncomfortable.
that he is uncomfortable around children. So he thought it would be super duper funny to do that. So then you know what Captain Picard did?
What?
Commander Riker Day. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. He made a Commander Riker Day
Yep.
as revenge. He was like, I mean, you're gonna have to do it too. Um,
What? So he gets like a hologram full of Deanna Troy's.
I mean, that's what
Um,
I would make him,
that's what I would make
and
him.
he would also get stuck in that, but actually, he isn't actually stuck.
Okay, from what I'm reading about Captain Picard Day, this makes no sense and I am here for it. I really like that sometimes Star Trek makes no effing sense. So if Brad Boimler talks about being super excited about, hopped up Q on Captain Picard Day, then I go, "Oh, does that mean Picard Day is just a thing in the world? Or was it only for a very short amount of time?" How far does Picard Day go? I like that the Lower Decks had to make a reference because Lower Decks often makes universe destroying references where it's like, well, now nothing makes sense in canon at all. I love it.
Oh, I mean, what's his name has a holiday. Well, two people, two what's his names. Zephram Cochrane has a holiday that isn't actually on here. They
Okay.
do celebrate his birthday, and the same with Pike. Christopher Pike's birthday is a holiday according to Boimler.
Really?
And Boimler's yeah,
Oh,
because on that episode, on the episode those old scientists, he says they're like, "Oh, blah 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 Friday." He's like, "Oh, because of Captain Pike's birthday." And they're like, "What?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah, cuz blah 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 it's a holiday." And da, da, da. And then he's like, "Oops." Because it is a
yeah.
holiday. It's
My goodness.
because but that doesn't mean like every captain has a birthday. I think that when Boimler was talking about Captain Picard Day, I think he was just because him and Mariner read mission files. They read mission files like how we read other forms of things. Anyway,
Which is
like
how he can make all of his references. This works for me. I like it.
that's why he's like, oh, blah blah blah, Captain Picard Day. Now the next one is it's an episode, the festival. Now the festival has been made in a bunch of different ways. That the festival on Beta 3, um, where they have a really cool planet, and then they have essentially a purge. They call
Are
it
you
Red
going
Hour.
to the festival? Yes, I'm going to
To
the
the
festival.
festival.
And then, like, he goes boop, 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 and then they food.
And they
And it's
like, yeah, they
the most 1960s acting ever.
so yeah, Red Hour is marked at the beginning of the festival. It starts at 6 in the afternoon. I I would call 6
Are
the
you part
evening.
of the body? I'm just remembering they
But it's the
all.
purge, and they like they assault because it's television in the 60s and they can't show too much violence. What they show is women being SA'd because that's a form of violence that people still feel perfectly okay with displaying on television as if it weren't just as bad
Well,
as
no,
like knife work.
here's the thing: they don't show a woman being SA'd. They imply a woman being SA'd. So you hear a woman screaming off camera. You see a woman looking shoveled, and then in the next scene she's all disheveled because she was manhandled.
um yeah, it's just it's one of those. I know
Oh shit, Maya,
it says
you're
Landrew.
so right. So apparently, literally, The Purge was based on this Star Trek episode,
Yes,
Return of the Ark. Like I thought, because I was like, oh yeah, no, it's totally like The Purge. No, it's
it is
literally
the
The Purge.
purge.
Literally the
Oh my
purge.
god.
Mm-hmm.
Also a terrible movie, but
Uh, Interesting. The purge is about the actual thing is about getting rid of um uh poor black people. That if you actually looked at like the series as a whole, it was the government's way of trying to make them eradicate themselves by making a lawless day, and then the rich people could the rich white people could protect themselves. um
And like this was once again, the episode was solved by Kirk being like, "Hey, computer, logic," and the computer being like, "Logic."
Ah!
I love
Why
it.
did
Like
you
that's how
you
it's
asked me
like
a contradictory question?
like 4 or 5 different episodes where that's how Kirk solves the problem. Like over and over. The show was only on for 3 years. How is it every season Kirk was solving a problem by making a computer feel emotionally confused?
I love it. I love
I have
it.
done that in real life to people, so I think that's a power move.
Yeah. It's like one of those touche kind of moments. Now, the
Okay, so we got
next holiday is called First Meal. First Meal is a traditional feast celebrated on the planet Meridian when it returns to normal space after a 60-year period in a separate dimension. And then its counterpart is the last meal. So they have First Meal. So this is a planet, DS9, episode Meridian, in 2371. Cisco, Dax, Bashir, and O'Brien go on the planet that just whoosh magically appears. Dax falls in love with a guy there. She wants to stay, and she tries to stay, but she can't and has to be beamed back to the ship, and that's that. But um, this is just a big old meal. Um,
okay.
they just have a beautiful giant meal to share with everyone, and it looks pretty good. I'm always a fan of a feast holiday
Same. Feed
because,
me,
yeah,
celebrate, and then like Judson, eat traveling dick.
yeah,
Cooks, he cleans. Who wouldn't want? Oh,
it's sad that there were a lot of poignantly sad episodes of Deep Space Nine, in particular. Deep Space Nine's episodes that were like, oh, they seem like this, but then they kind of like just stick you in the heart a little bit, and it hurts. And you're like, she's gonna be fine. She met this guy a week ago.
It's
right.
bittersweet. Star Trek likes to give you a bittersweet note where it's like love, but love lost. and now you just get longing. Enjoy this because these
Beauty
characters
call.
remain single for
But
at least
also,
4
like,
years.
it's been a week
Listen, she was like, summer days drifting
drifting
away.
away. Oh,
Say,
Willa,
Star
Willa,
Trek,
Willa.
all
Ugh.
the TV shows definitely gave me the impression that I was the weird one for not having really fast like social bondings. Like it would often take me weeks, if not months, to become sexually attracted to someone and then like decide, yeah, we should totally date. You're right. Dax was ready to give up her entire life after a week. I'm
Yeah,
like,
she was
calm
like a
down.
summer
You're from
fling.
outer space. You're a trill. You
It's
know
a
things
bit
ain't
much. I mean, here's the thing though. Like, there are no other Trill. You have she had a responsibility to her symbiote to not just disappear for 60 years, because that's essentially what she had decided that she was going to do, was to
yep.
disappear for 60 years for us. I get that they are long lived. At that point, the Dax symbiote was hundreds of years old, so like maybe 60 years is a drop in the bucket. But also 1 week. Like, I'm a whirlwind gal.
I
I
love
love
Dax though.
romance. But
Dax is
like,
like, I will date someone who has a clear head and you can see their brain. I will date a Klingon. I will become incorporeal for 60 years and date someone for like I like that Dax was open minded. Good for her.
yeah. I mean,
Had choices, but I don't think it was the symbiote driving that one. That was 100%,
that was
young girl going like, oh my God. It's like, whoa, no, 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 no.
yeah, I think Dax was like, we need to maybe think about this a little bit. And she's like,
Whoa.
you don't understand. I love him. I
I love
love
him.
him.
I just want to be with him. He cooks, he cleans.
I'm thinking that first meal must be so good after like 60 years of like not being
I
corporeal.
bet
That
it
would be
would.
good.
Do you think they spend the whole, like, because I get they're like gaseous, non corporeal, they like floating around doing whatever. Do you think they think about like what they're gonna eat?
I know I would.
I
Oh
would
yeah.
too.
I would be
Yeah.
like, that's why the food is so good. And that's why people are like, what? Because if you were like, for 60 years, I want some gumbo.
Planning it in your
I
head.
need
Just
some
that's all
fried
you can do.
catfish.
All you can do is imagine what you're going to make when you become corporeal
But
again.
Yeah.
also, he cooks, he cleans for 1 week every 60 years. I
At
mean,
least he washes. Do you know
at
what I
least
mean?
he
Like,
does wash.
that was a man that washes dishes.
Yes.
Okay. And his own ass. So it's just like, I can see, Jadzia, I'm with you. We're here, teenage girl vibes. That's what you're giving. But you gotta listen to Dax.
Well, it's real classic. It's very classic Star Trek to fall in love with someone like after like a couple of conversations that you're going to completely upend not just your life, but like everyone around you.
Oh
Um
yeah.
Yeah.
because you're like, you seem like you might be pretty interesting. I might want to get to know you better. Like, it's fascinating. Okay. Next holiday is called Larut. It's also known as Lo Lunt, maybe. It's from Risa. It's known as the Festival of Moons. It's a party on a party planet, y'all.
Hell yeah. All right.
Um um
Okay.
yeah, Hoshi Sato, communications aficionado extraordinaire, brilliant linguist, was invited to celebrate this holiday by some Ryzen guy that she hooked up with that one time she was there.
Not
Remember?
mad about it.
I love it. I love it.
Approved. I
Uh
approve holiday. Here's the truth. I think I would approve of all holidays on Risa. I like how they roll.
I like how they roll.
every
I feel
day
they are
is.
like inclusive. Like they are disability friendly on Ryza. They're like, He got you.
I fully agree. I'm guessing right. Here's the funny thing. I've never thought about this, but I'm like, oh yeah, like we should do a trek rank of the most accessible planets,
I
and I would say
absolutely
Ryza
believe that Riza
is the
would
most
be.
accessible.
Yeah,
Hell
because
yeah,
well, Riza's whole deal is about making it so that their visitors, their guests, are comfortable and have
yeah,
everything they need from
Yeah.
uh like everything that they need. Like there's a little statue they can put up if they
yep,
need some company. And if you don't need any company, people will leave you alone. It's a place that like they respect your boundaries.
yep.
Um and and I and also it looked really nice there. Like they have a weather thing system that like Worf tried to mess with it, but they're like they have temperature, nice climate control for the entire planet, and I'm for that. Um,
Then on a Thai massage, are you spastic as a disabled person? They got you.
yeah,
They will
Ah,
touch you and move you, right? Do you need help and assistance having sex? There will be a group of people in the room
they're just gonna
ready.
help you out.
We're going to help you have the experience that you want to have.
They would do that.
They would. They would all enjoy it.
Yes. Now, the next holiday is that I'm going to talk about is a Talaxan holiday called Prixin. It has an X in it, just like everything that is Talaxian, um, including the people. It's a multi-day holiday that celebrates family. So
Oh,
let's see. It's a joyful time for family and friends to gather, enjoy delicious meals. Typical food served is a fruit compote, served in root nectar, which is typically fermented for several weeks before the first night of the holiday. So that's probably a pretty potent cocktail.
yeah.
Um, uh, Prixin is celebrated annually aboard Voyager. In 2374, the first day of Prixin fell on Thursday. Um, a traditional salutation of Prixin is, "We do not stand alone. We are in the arms of family." And then you read a list of your family members. And then, "We gather this day to extol the warmth and joy of those unshakable bonds. Without them, we could not call ourselves complete. On this day, we are thankful to be together. We do not stand alone." And it's really lovely. So I think that's a really and because it's Talaxian, that's why we know so much about it because uh Neelix won't shut up.
Well, also
Uh
like this holiday was on. It's from the episode Mortal Coil,
yes.
where like it's weird that he's such a weird little character because he lost his entire people. So like every once in a while, you go, oh wait a second, this little smiley hairy dude is real sad. Is carrying depths of sadness and darkness that are kind of unknowable. Whoa, yeah,
Yeah, his entire family is, and it's not just like every Talaxian is gone. It's there are lots of Talaxians that exist and are alive, but every single member of his family was on that moon when it got hit by that awful whatever weapon.
yep.
um, and it obliterated every single person that he had ever known and loved. And then and he was a soldier at that time. Um, yeah,
he always breaks my heart because he really loves children too. Like,
Yep.
just gets so, he wants to be a dad. He wants to have that family life where they're all kind of, cooking and eating and laughing and playing games together. Like, it's just, he has this like very innocent and cute vision of the world despite the horrors that he went through. Like, he knows that's still something that he could achieve. Maybe one day he still has that hope.
yeah. Neelix is a person that, despite awful, horrific things happening to him, he was still able to have exist with hope. I really like Neelix post Cass.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's
Fully
not, and that's not his fault. That's the writer's fault. They do that. They
Yep.
do that. Under no circumstances in a million years should Neelix and Cass ever have been in any kind of romantic relationship. It was gross and it was icky the entire time. She
Yeah.
shouldn't have been partnered with anyone.
Right.
Period. Well, it's I get that Ocampans maturize quickly and learn quickly.
Here's the thing, Maya. I think you're being a little speciesist, actually. Ocampian, like for the Compan, she was a fully adult person. She was an age mate, and in many ways,
She
they
was
were-
not an age mate to Neelix. Neelix was a lot older. She was an age mate to Harry Kim. If anyone on that ship, she was
You know
a
what?
kid.
Yeah.
She was
I'm
a
not gonna
kid.
disagree with that.
That,
I'm not
like,
gonna
he was an
disagree.
old man. She didn't know what anything was. She's like, "What is this, Neelix? What are these things?"
No, Neelix wasn't an old man, though. You're talking about Neelix like Neelix was in his 50s. Neelix was like in his 20s, wasn't he?
No!
He was grown.
He was a grown ass man, like in his 40s to 50s. He had lived an entire life. He was a grown man when his entire
He had a wife
family
and
died.
kids.
He wasn't
his
a
wife and
child
kids
when
died.
that happened.
Yeah.
Like he didn't have a wife and kids or anything, but he was a grown adult. He had left home. He had joined the military. His entire family was killed. He went off and became some sort of ship person guy, traveled around, found this little girl and decided, "Oh, I'm a bang her." And
Oh
that's
my
what happened. And
Oh
that's
my
what
God.
happened canonically. Is that
Okay,
she
all
ran
right.
away from home, he found her, and then all of a sudden she's like, "I love you," and it's really gross.
I'm
Yeah.
going to do more research on this because I had decided they were age mates, and now
No,
I'm not sure
no,
anymore. You got me,
no.
No,
got me
like
all
and
messed
like
up.
he it was almost like that warden kind of like relationship, like
Mhm.
"You're my ward and
She was like a
all
foster child. She was like his
Like,
foster daughter.
ugh.
Um, it was weird and it didn't make any sense because so here's the thing. So you had Neelix who was older than Tom Paris. Tom Paris had a little crush on Cass and that was gross too.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, okay.
Harry Kim as he had just graduated from Starfleet Academy. He had he was just away from home. Yes, he had a girlfriend back home. But
No,
he was like
34.
who?
He was 34, Neelix.
Yeah. And she
Yeah.
was 2. And
Yeah.
I know that she was an equivalent to an 18-year-old though. Because she had just fully maturated. So she was like an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
once she got old enough, you'll notice that once she got old enough on the ship, she didn't want to be with Neelix anymore. Neelix was holding her back because that's what happens in these unhealthy age gap relationships.
okay.
I mean, at least Neelix let her go,
Yeah.
but
she
like,
was like explode and kill everybody.
mm-hmm.
So you kind of let it go. Homeboy, she got
Like, okay, I guess we are broken up. I'm just gonna take that. I'm gonna take that
All right,
since you can break my brain.
So Maiamama, I failed to cancel my 5:30 meeting,
Mm-hmm.
so I am gonna have to leave in about 15 minutes.
Okay,
How many
so-
holidays are there?
Okay, we have 3 more, and they're really, really easy. The next one is called Ancestors' Eve, and it's a holiday that Neelix made up. It is like the Day of the Dead. You put like something similar to an ofrenda up, and you put pictures and memories sakes of people that you loved. Like when I looked over it, I was like, oh, but you put your ancestors on it. It's from the episode of Voyager 1159, where Janeway learns about her other, and then they take us, and then they all take a group picture to put on it. Um,
Aw, cute.
Next, though, is probably the best holiday ever. It's actually an old Irish traditional holiday, according to Miles O'Brien, and it is called "I'm Married to the Most Wonderful Woman in the Galaxy" Day. So apparently, in this holiday it happens, it's an irregular regular holiday, so you don't so it occurs unpredictably, sometimes twice a day even. And coincidentally, it was happening during a very difficult time in Keiko O'Brien's life, with the uh, she had to close down her school because of all the families that were evacuating. Didn't really know what her life was. And so, yeah, he gave her a cake and noisemakers and fireworks.
Aw,
And,
Do it.
and
sweet.
so I think that's like probably the very best holiday ever. I'm married to the most wonderful woman in the galaxy day. But yeah, it's an old Irish traditional holiday. And I think it's really cool that we got to see some like old Earth holidays on Star Trek. You know?
That's cute.
I really love that because if there's one character that needs that, it's Keiko.
Hell yeah. She goes
It like
through it.
goes through it, and for nothing else, because she's married to Miles. That's it.
Because she's married to the guy. Okay, so you know how I say Kirk, or not Kirk, Spock is space Jesus? Every bad thing that can happen to a person is gonna happen to Miles O'Brien. It's like he's the opposite of all, like, and it's not his fault because he's a good person through and through. He makes good choices even when he has to deal with his own prejudices and biases and blind spots and things like that. He's still a good person and willing to learn. And yet the universe just hates that man. Poor dude. Poor dude. Now the last holiday is called Naming Day. It's from Ferenginar. It's the name which the male Ferengi is formally introduced to the world outside of the family, and the first opportunity to acquire property or make profits. So it's one of the few Ferengi holidays that actually involves giving gifts. And a particular on Rom's naming day, Quark replaced all of Rom's gifts with rotten vegetables and sold all of the gifts for profit. And and Rom still cannot get over it, and rightly so.
Rightly so.
Rightly so.
Yep,
Hmm.
yep,
Rightly
I
so.
fully agree.
For Rom.
I am surprised, Maya Mama, that like, there was one holiday that I thought that you were going to end on, and you didn't mention it.
What was it?
First Contact Day.
Oh, you know what's funny is that, yeah, on my list it wasn't there, and I just left it off because I was like, oh, that's fine.
It's the one holiday where I get confused about whether or not it's a holiday inside the Star Trek universe,
But it
or is it
is.
it's actually it's like an actual Star Trek holiday,
Mm-hmm.
because that's the day that the Vulcans came down and were like,
Oh,
"Hey,
so
Earthlings."
so
I
I
know we
did
said there
remove
before,
Earth
like this is
holidays.
like our first time.
I took out Earth holidays. So like April Fool's Day, Christmas, First Contact Day, Federation Day, which is funny because actually Federation Day should not be an Earth holiday.
Wait,
Um
so I guess is First Contact Day an Earth holiday? I guess
yes, it
it's an
is.
Earth.
It's 100% an Earth holiday,
All right.
but it's also the beginning of the Federation in a lot of
Right.
ways. Even though Federation Day is also a different day.
We just gotta celebrate ourselves in progress. You know, first contact day, we don't know what the heck we're doing, and these aliens are like, we don't like what you're doing.
They're like, we're
Um,
gonna just keep an eye on you for a
Got a
100 years.
situation here. We were minding our business, and then you concerned us.
Unemotionally, though. We are
Right.
unemotionally concerned, and we will unemotionally observe you like this
And judge.
the whole time. Unemotionally, though, guys. Why are you being so emotional? That's what they are. Vulcans are that person who is like, why are you being so emotional?
Calm down.
Calm down. You need to calm down. I don't like it that you're doing that.
Right.
Vulcans. Vulcans. Shameful. Shameful. All right. But those are the Star Trek holidays.
Also a holiday. I'm sorry, this is what happens. We're having our conversations. I'm surrounded by computers. So I was not listening to, I was reading about Federation Day and looking at this artwork of the Star Trek Romulan War. I love
yeah, the Federation Day is just the beginning of the Federation. First Contact Day is the first day that they were all like, hey guys, hey guys, hey, we're all here. Look at you, you're here on Earth, I'm here on Earth, but you don't live here, and so that's crazy. Also, we do not have any friends from the future here. We don't know anything about the future here. It's really good to meet you. You're a what race? A Volaron?
I just want to make sure that our audience knows that Maiamama live streams. Oh, that's funny. Vulcans want to speak to the manager. That is funny.
Mhm.
So I apologize because I get the feeling people have been dropping science, like saying really funny stuff in my TikTok, and I never think to turn my head. And like every once in a while, you'll say something funny, and I'll be like this. So to everybody in Twitch, when you see me do this, it's because somebody said something amazing, and then I failed to say it out loud to you. Maiamama does Trek Talk almost every single week. It's always super fun to talk about Star Trek with special guest stars like Lucia Doucette. And I'm just so grateful that we have a chance to come together to enjoy talking about the large number of Star Trek things that there are. It's always a fun conversation.
It's always a fun conversation. Like, it's my favorite time of the week. I was gonna say the time of the month. I was like, it's not my period. It's the opposite. I enjoy this.
It's like Trek Talk. It's like the opposite of a period.
I enjoy this.
I enjoy
this.
And
I want to put that down as like the things that people say when they're like, oh yeah, this show, it's the best. Definitely better than. So next week we are going to talk about Star Trek Lower Decks. We're just gonna start talking about the episodes because we took a big long, like month-long break from talking about it. So I am excited to talk about that. Yeah. All right, everyone. I put links in the chat. Thank you so much for joining us. I will see you next week for episode 2 of this year of Trek Talk, because this is the first one of the year, right? So happy new year, and Peldar joy, everyone. Peldar joy. All right, I'm gonna stop the stream. Bye.